Hilarious, yo. All right, what's up, y'all? This is Akibang, B Truth, and God Body Jenkins. This is the Daily Walk Show, man. We gonna look at some other shit. And tell me what you think.
Saying wants to deny funding for what he calls improper ideology.
It's his latest step in trying to change American culture, which he feels has become too liberal. Political reporter Marcia Kramer joins us with more. Marcia.
Well, Alice and Dick, there are several things you need to know about the executive order. It was signed behind closed doors. The president named Vice President J.D. Vance as his enforcer. He also wants to restore statues and monuments of Confederate figures, many of which were removed after the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. And many, many people are upset.
The idea that he's going after the Smithsonian is absurd.
Congressman Josh Gottheimer reacting to an executive order called Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History, in which President Trump takes aim at the highly respected Smithsonian Institution, seeking to purge its 21 museums, libraries, research centers, and the National Zoo of, quote, divisive narratives and, quote, improper ideology. And he named Vice President J.D. Vance, who serves on the Smithsonian's Board of Regents, to enforce efforts to, quote, remove improper ideology from all areas of the institution. It is Trump's latest effort to go after universities and art that he considers out of step with the conservative values of his party. Museums in our nation's capital should be places where individuals go to learn, not to be subjected to ideological indoctrination or divisive narratives that distort our shared history, the order states.
Of course, on message for him, but totally against what we should be doing.
The order also directed the Secretary of the Interior to evaluate the removal of monuments, statues, and markers at federal parks and facilities that were, quote, removed or changed to perpetuate a false reconstruction of American history. People going to the National Museum of the American Indian here, a part of the Smithsonian, had this reaction.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Why is that?
Because this is all part of our collective culture, of all the various cultures and races that inhabit the United States.
I think the history of America is important, no matter what kind of history it is. I think it's all important to the United States, so I think it should stay.
The issue with Trump is that he is not pro-America, okay? He does not protect every individual that lives in this country. So he will be doing things such as that doesn't make any sense. He needs to understand that America voted for him, so he needs to protect every single American that's here.
Now, the president also ordered
Z.
I mean, I tried to tell Cass, man. I tried to tell Cass during the first administration. I tried to, you know what I mean? Like, I got nothing, man. I work at a museum that is affected by this. It's unfortunate that people didn't see the writing on the wall. When someone, my grandfather used to say, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And I think a lot of people were just expecting him to not be as bad as he said that he was going to be. And he's just doing everything that he said he was going to do, and then sprinkling a bunch of other things that he didn't say that he was going to do on top of it. And this country is seeing, what happens when you elect a sociopath who wants to be a dictator as president. And we're not yet really feeling the effects of the decisions that he's made in the first, I don't know how long he's been.
Not even 6 months, is it?
About 6 months, yeah. So the tariffs are now starting to hit. I was actually looking, I was thinking about buying the new PlayStation. So I've been following, them or whatever. And GameStop just put out a message yesterday saying that the cost of PlayStations is going up after the 26th because of the tariffs. So this is what a lot of Americans ask for, and chickens coming home to roost, as Brother Malcolm would say.
Speaking of chickens, man, I want the Popeye chicken and stuff like that, man. The motherfuckers charge me like fucking 25 cents for fucking ketchup. What the fuck, yo? That's the action. I said, is it because of the tariffs?
Yeah, cost of tomatoes are going up.
So I can't get my honey with my biscuit no more, huh?
Sure, cost of honey's going up.
Jesus Christ. Man, we're not talking about food. We're talking about art. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know the fundings are being rejected for a lot in your department of what you're doing, but when it comes to the historical history of the museum, is it being effective, or he's only attacking? Because this is like an art of war. Because the first thing you do in the art of war, well, one of the processes of doing art of war is you take away the history of something. Mm-hmm. It's like how you see the Sphinx, you know what I'm saying, with the nose chopped off, to like, you know what I mean, different artifacts that was in Europe that was taken away from Africa, you know what I'm saying, as a way to recondition and socially engineer the thought process of people and stuff, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So is that affecting right now the museum that you're working at?
Yeah, for sure. There's no
they're taking out artwork, or they restricting certain artworks from being in there?
No, it's not at that point, and it won't be, because we receive zero federal funding right now. There is no money coming from the federal government. This time last year, there were millions. Right now, there's no money that's coming from the federal government. I don't even approach these institutions that Trump raided, from the IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Studies or Sciences, the NEH, the National Institute of Humanities, the NEA, the National Institute of Arts. Those were the three main big federal places that institutions like mine and libraries and different things would go for different federal funding and grants. There are no monies that are currently available from any of them right now that has anything to do with something that my museum could get. They said they were going to do it, though. Project 2025 on and pop.
I think if you're going to do it for one group of people, you should be doing it for all group of people. If you're talking about quote unquote negative history, you know, don't just stick to the Black people, because there's a whole nother group. And are you taking their artworks out? Are you taking that stuff out of the museums too? So there is one side that I do feel like in some cases we don't talk about enough, just in our community, is how resilient we are as a people. Despite all the things that we go through and that we continue to go through, we always end up finding a way. Not that it should be that way, but I don't think that means that we should dismiss the bad things that have happened to us in this country and by the hands of people in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Mary. I'm sorry.
No, you could go.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. And, you know, and part of what they're doing to, you know, take these different artifacts are out, and these different things are to, you know, control the narrative. You know, if you don't have control of certain artifacts and things, you don't necessarily have proof that certain things happen.
Right.
You know? And that's why, you know, you see in Kemet, with, you know, what we call Egypt today, with, you know, the Arabs that are overrunning, you know, Kemet. Now they're claiming that ancient Egypt was an Arab space as opposed to being African, you know, and they're actively running with this argument, you know, and it goes hand in hand with knocking the nose off of the Sphinx, and it goes hand in hand with these, you know, different things. So we get what's happening because we've seen it. Fahrenheit 451, was about burning books and banning books. And, we're seeing books banned. There's a book that I've been actively looking for since I saw it at the space that I used to host, the open mic, Nandi's Knowledge Cafe. And it was called The History of Edom, EDOM, The Imposter Jew. And Nandi's was selling it for like $350 at the time. And the pages were pages that were wrinkled. Every page had like highlighter on it. Like there was stuff that was underlined, all this different things. So I'm like, man, I'm not about to pay $350 for this. A few years later, I'm actively looking, for the book. I just wanted a better copy than that. And literally you cannot find it. There was one copy that was on Amazon and it was for $500. And now that's not on there, and it's not in it, and it's listed as unavailable. And it's completely wiped from the internet, except for a couple of like different spots that I've been able to find from ChatGPT. So I say that there's an active war on information right now that we're kind of in the epicenter of. It is really important to control our narratives. So even if we don't necessarily display everything in institutions, that's why, for one, it's really important for us to have our own institutions. I'm proud to work for a museum that is the closest thing to being Black owned for a large museum, a museum of this size. And because of that, to your point about being self-sufficient and, kind of pivoting when, things, hit the fan, when you're not completely federally funded like a Smithsonian, like the federal government can only tell you to do so much. But that having been said, things have been made substantially more difficult even this year than they were last year. And it's like the next couple of years are just about, who's to say what the future holds in that regard.
Yeah, the books was like our Bibles. Like when I was growing up in Brooklyn, they had Muslim brothers on the corner selling Black books, right? And you don't know what's going on? You don't know the knowledge, bro? You don't know the knowledge? You know what I mean? And it makes you curious. You know what I'm saying? There were men that was teaching and passing information on to younger people. You know what I mean? And ironically, since we're talking about it and why it's so important, which is so crazy, I have this book that I had for so many years. I know I was a teenager since I had this book.
Shahrazad Ali, the great.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I looked at it one day. I was like, holy shit, I still got this book, And I don't have a lot of books that I have from back in the days, man, from transition from New York to like Virginia and all stuff like that. But yeah, man, it's important to keep the books because they're not selling it because Barnes and Noble ain't got shit. They're not gonna have shit. You know what I mean? Or they can't even find the order. Oh yeah, we can't find it. Schiller's bookstore. They ain't got shit. You know what I mean? So you better try to find like a place like 90s or I think Urban Exclusives on Burton. They closed now. You know what I'm saying? They had books of information. But yeah, it's kind of hard to find a lot of books, even for niggas and guys and stuff like that. They got the first part 1. They don't have part 2.
I'm a book collector. I know you said you wasn't gonna spend $500, but I done spent several $100s on books that was rare. Once I found it and I got my hands on it, let me get that real quick.
If I ever find it again, though, I'm whatever. Now, but yeah, before I was like,
Yeah, I even told my daughters, I said, I passed. Y'all better look in them books for sure. Don't just be throwing them books out.
Yeah, never throw a book out. I mean, if it's some like hood romance novel by Zane, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we could toss that. But when it comes to
I can't keep Queen Thug and shit. Queen Thug Part 2, you know what I'm saying? Bitches Revenge. I can't keep those books, huh?
Yo, that's insane.
Hilarious. They was wilding out with these books, man.
Yo, let me just read this though, if I could, man, because I want like, you know, on the Daily Walk, man, we talk about some of everything, man. It's a beautiful conversation, man. But I love sharing information as well. And one of the things that has been like a kind of consistent, you know, thing that I've been trying to hammer into, you know, Daily Walkers' heads is you know, how much information is actually out there if you look for it and you are down to like really sift through it to understand how it would affect you. But this is what, and I'm going to be really brief about this, but this is what Project 2025 said about DEI related proposals, right? They said the top 4 things that they were going to do are abolish DEI offices and personnel. DEI is code for anything that's not completely white, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Abolish DEI offices and personnel. The blueprint explicitly calls for the elimination of DEI offices and staff across federal agencies, including the military, USAID, National Institute of Health, IRS, Treasury Department, financial regulators. 2, in the government's participation in DEI initiatives. This is exactly what we're talking about in regards to museums and these different things.
Sorry.
Project 2025 advocates halting federal involvement in DEI programs entirely. That means removing the government as actors in diversity efforts. Number 3, legislative alignment and enforcement. The plan calls for rewriting laws to reflect a conservative interpretation of non-discrimination and using the Department of Justice to prosecute institutions, public or private. This is exactly what we're seeing with the Smithsonian right now. Using the Department of Justice to prosecute institutions, public or private, that maintain DEI programs or affirmative action policies. And number 4, remove DEI and federal agencies and programs. Specifically, Project 2025 designates DEI as state-sanctioned racism and pushes to strip such provisions from federal legislation. It also targets federal employees involved in DEI for termination. So when I was saying like a few months ago, man, like read Project 2025, like I know that it has a bunch of pages, it's longer than the Bible, but these people are telling you what they are going to do, what they plan on doing in plain sight, and they know that most of us aren't going to read it or take the time to at least research what's in it, and we just fly by night with shit, man. So like I implore all the Daily Walkers, Project 2025, I mean, that's being initiated now, whether you like it or not, because we voted somebody in that stood behind it. But as these things, this legislation comes across, you know, your desk, man, like don't be intimidated because shit is long. Don't feel like you don't have the time to do it. Literally, your future can hinge on the knowledge that's hidden in plain sight because they know that our people aren't going to take the time to read it, man.
So what are our people are going to take the time to do?
Get our ass kicked for the next 3.5 years. I mean, this, you know, we got a plan or whatever, but like, yo, I'm done telling our people what to do.
No, first of all, I appreciate you reading it out and finally saying something about the Project 2020. I mean, I know you said that you don't say to read it, but to actually give information on things that Trump is actually implementing right now. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. You know, the Daily Walkers need to see that. You know, or need to hear that. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's keep going when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? And push your information on that. So
yeah, nothing that's happening right now that everybody that hasn't read that is surprised about. Like there's nothing. That's why I like the people that have read it are like, yeah, like this is what the fuck he said he was gonna do. Like this is all, it's all here, and it only gets worse. From the tariffs, all of this shit, it is all, none of this is by surprise. Like Trump is doing certain things by surprise, like not letting the Epstein files out. But all the real shit that actually matters to us on a day-to-day basis is going to make our lives exponentially more difficult. All of that has been written down. We just have not read it.
Well, B's a storyteller, and she's been writing interesting shorts, and it's basically about life.
Mm-hmm.
You're a book writer. and you talk about life as well through poetry. You know what I mean? So the question is for people, should we reintroduce a new type of Bible for the future?
You take this one, B.
I'm not gonna tell people how to live.
That's what it is. You're not telling people how to live, but you are telling a story that somebody can read and implement in their life somehow. Not trying to tell them how to live, not trying to shame them into that, but to put the message out there that once they read it, say, "Oh shit, this applies to me." Like, you know what I mean? Like Malcolm X was a great read. You know what I'm saying? Autobiography, how it applied to my life. You know what I mean? And some of the similarities growing up in New York and everything like that. So, yeah. Should people start having these journals so that, and should there be a publisher to combine it into one big book for the future?
That all of us are going to collectively not read. We don't. Last thing niggas need is a big book, bro.
You talking about like a black Bible?
Project 2025 was a big book.
I was trying to get something, man. God damn, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe we could call it.
I was trying to do something. I was trying to inspire people. You shut it down.
How about this? Why don't we just why don't we do that and just call it the Bible so that niggas won't be afraid to open it? How about that? Let's do that.
What version would it be?
Akibang version.
I don't want to take the credit.
The Be Truth version sounds like we starting a cult.
God Body Jenkins, I'm not reading that.
God Body Jenkins Jr. That sounds like I'm a 4%er.
What was that?
Oh shit. It got to be a version because you know what I'm saying, they got too many versions out there, so it got to be another version.
That's a huge problem with the Bible, is there are way too many versions out there.
There was a black Bible.
The Ethiopian Coptic Bible was the first Bible.
Yeah, that was the first Bible, but it was actually a black Bible during slavery. So that was a black Bible.
The slave Bible.
It was a slave Bible too.
Yeah, that never caught niggas off guard. Like, yo, why can't we read yours?
Right.
Should there be a Bible?
I'm not for banning books. I'm an anti-book banner. I think that there should be. Let's put the information out there. I want to know what my enemy's doing, man. Like Mein Kampf should be read in high school. Like Hitler's book. Like everything should be read. Like you should not, like, when you know the diabolical nature of the people that are around you, you can react to it. I'm not for suppression of anything outside of sexually explicit things to children. I think that we need to give people like the raw and uncut. Like that's why adulthood is so surprising to a lot of people. Because like people don't realize, like all childhood, like we hide the reality of humanity to children. And then, one day when, little Billy clicks on the wrong link and sees, somebody like fucking a goat, like he doesn't know how to process that shit. Well, maybe not fucking a goat, because I don't know how to process
I was like, why? Why did that have to be what he saw?
That was like my childhood growing up in New York, going to Times Square, seeing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
so close. I was so close. Shit.
Yeah, he was going and
I was going. I fell. I tripped.
You brought me back to Times Square. Horrible. Horrible, man. I had to change that shit. I had to fix that shit.
You fucked the goat in Times Square? That's
Oh,
all.
then fuck the Golden Crown Square, man.
Okay, I just don't.
I saw the videos. It was like Times Square was so open and it was so sleazy. You know what I mean? You could walk down 40 Deuce and you just happen to look to the left and you'll see different monitors of bestiality.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Who the fuck was doing that?
Times Square.
Who in Times Square was putting on the monitors bestiality, bro?
The fucking regular stores that was all porn. It was filled with drug infested prostitution and all types of shit.
People would put bestiality on the screen, bro.
I've seen white females suck a horse dick. That was crazy.
In Times Square, on the video, on
video.
In Times Square, I'm thinking like bigger than the city lights down in Times Square. I'm thinking like Diddy. You know what I'm saying?
And you're looking up there, but down here, my nigga, you walk down the street. You know what I'm saying? They had like quarter machines where you could put a quarter and the thing will raise and you'll see a live chick dancing and shit. And you can go in there as a fucking kid and see that shit.
Mm.
They had to shut that shit down. It is totally different than it was back in the day.
Okay. Interesting.
It's Disney-fied now, but back in the days, there's a documentary on this shit.
Could you put a quarter in and see somebody fucking a goat? Is my main concern.
It's a possibility back in the days, yes.
That's terrible, man. That's where I draw the line. I mean, I draw the line way before there. but that's another line. Okay.
Yeah, you brought this shit out, man. Pause. White chick getting raped by a wolf is crazy. Crazy. This is true shit.
All right, what you think, Daily Walk? This has been Guy Body Jenkins, Akibang, aka Avocado Jones, and B Truth. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Stay away from the horses and the wolves, yo.
And Times Square.
And make a Bible.
Read your Bible. The Guy Body Jenkins Jr.'s version.